We are now going to embroider our cross-stitch hourglass on the checked fabric. Your craft caboodle kit comes with a series of diagrams, starting with diagram 1, showing you all the start and end points, to diagram 6, which has your finished product. I have marked crease A with a series of pins. We are now going to mark point A by counting 5 white checks to the right of crease A. We are also going to come up 3 white checks from fold 1. This is point A. Point B is 10 white checks to the right of that. I have mirrored the entire diagram 1 in a series of pins over here, but this is for demonstration only. It's easier not to mark all the points right at the start. I am also using an embroidery hoop, but this is not strictly required. The interfacing ironed on to the back of your fabric makes it quite comfortable to embroider with no hoop. We are going to start embroidering our hourglass pattern by cutting 24 inches of embroidery floss from the blue skein that's included in the Craft Caboodle sachet kit. Take the skein of 6 strands and split it into 2 sets of 3 strands each. Wind one of the sets up neatly and save it for later. Take the other set and thread it through the large-eyed embroidery needle. Make a neat knot at the end. Our pattern of the hourglass consists of 10 cross stitches that run from A to B. Cross stitches are stitches in the shape of a little X. They are made out of 2 half stitches, one on each slant. We are going to make our pattern by running 10 half stitches from A to B, turning around, and then returning with 10 half stitches back to point A. We start by passing our needle from the back to the front on the white check that is point A. Once you do this, you can remove your marker pin. If you look at the back, I have a small knot that indicates where I started. To make the first half stitch, I then go to the opposite corner of the white square and insert my needle again. Continue doing this until you have 10 half stitches. Now that we've made our 10th half stitch, instead of moving to the next white check, we go to the top corner of the same check. If you're having trouble finding your corners, you can always reverse your fabric and look at it from the back before you insert your needle. We now make 10 half stitches in the opposite slant. That's our last stitch on this row. And you can see we have a series of 10 neat little crosses filling the white squares only on this line. If you look at the back, it's almost as neat. To go to the next row of the pattern, we have to skip the stitch in the corner. So we jump directly from point A to the starting point on the line above. As long as your jumps are very small, it makes more sense to just take that one large stitch rather than end it and start it again. If you look at the pattern, you will also notice that we end one stitch before the lowest row. We do exactly the same thing to reverse and come back. We are now in the row right below the row CD. We are going to come to the end, decrease for the final time to make these 2 stitches, hold the number of stitches consistent as we do EF, and then start to increase our stitches. On my fabric, the green pins are the points C and D. The blue pins are E and F. Withdraw the markers from the rows before you sew them. This is point E. And F. We now need to increase the number of stitches in the next row. So instead of coming up right above point E, I'm going to move one white check to the left and bring my needle out at the top corner of that check. Exactly as you had done in all the other rows, make 4 half stitches going across the top. We also increase at the end of this row by going one check past point F. Turn around and come back exactly as you had done before. We are almost at the end of our embroidery pattern. We just have 3 half stitches before we reach point G and have to tie off our yarn. Let me show you how. To tie off your yarn, flip your work to the reverse. Look for the stitch closest to the one that you've just exited on. Slide your needle underneath and form a loop. Now place your needle through this loop once again. Carefully tighten the first loop and you'll see a second one forming. Put your finger on top of that tighten your sewing thread. Now make a neat snip. Your embroidery pattern is done.